Welcome to a nice quick lesson on multiplying rational numbers, which is another way of saying multiplying decimals in this case. And it's basically a quick review of what we did in 6th grade with multiplying decimals, but now we're just going to add in the fact that we might have some negatives. So we're going to have to use our integer rules as well. So to start in your notes, you're going to add in these two steps. To multiply decimals first, multiply the numbers together, and then 2, count how many digits you had after the decimal point in both numbers. That's how many places you slide it in your answer. So go ahead and fill both of those lines in, and then we're going to see this in action. You'll notice our first two problems are all positive numbers, so you don't have to worry about the negative sign yet. We're really just multiplying together. And to multiply, you're just going to take your first number times each of the numbers in the top number. So 8 times 1 is 8, 8 times 0 is 0, 8 times 3 is 24. When you go to do the second row of multiplication, remember you always start with that placeholder 0 because we're really multiplying times the 1, so we want everything to line up underneath that, starting with that 1 because it's really in the tens place, so we want to start in the tens place. But then we go back to 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 0 is 0, 1 times 3 is 3. Next step is to add up your pieces. And you get 5, 4, 1, 8. And now we have to follow that second rule. You count up how many decimal places did you have in your problem. In this case, I had 3. So I'm going to come over 1, 2, 3 decimal places from the right in my answer. And I get an answer of 5.418. And if you think about it, 3.01 is about 3. 1.8 is about 2. So we're kind of expecting an answer somewhere in the range of a 6. So 5.418 is pretty close. Same thing here. This time we're just going to have 3 rows of multiplication because we have 3 numbers. 7 times 6 is 42, carry the 4. 7 times 3 is 21, plus 4 is 25, carry the 2. 7 times 1 is 7, plus 2 is 9, 7 times 1 is 7. Alright, so I'm going to get rid of that for my next row. Now I'm going to multiply times my 4. So I'm going to start that first row with that placeholder 0. 4 times 6 is 24. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 2 is 14. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5, and 4 times 1 is 4. Now, for our third row, we want to multiply times that 1. So we're going to have 2 placeholders. So my first number is in that hundreds place. 1 times 6 is 6. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 1 is 1. Add it all up. 2, 9. Here I get 19. 1 and 7 is 8. And 8 is 16. 6 and 1. And then the last step is count it up. I had 1, 2, 3 decimal places in the problem. So it comes over 1, 2, 3 decimal places in my answer. 166.992. All right, now we're going to see this in action with our negatives, with some negative signs in there. First reminder, you don't need to line up your decimal points. For adding and subtracting, we want everything lined up. For multiplying, we really don't even care about the decimal point until the very end. And then use your integer rules to decide if it's positive or negative. So a negative times a positive is going to be a negative. And now I just worry about multiplying. 4.25 times 4.5. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 2 is 10. Plus 2 is 12. 5 times 4 is 20. Plus 1 is 21. Second row, remember that placeholder 0. 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times 2 is 8. Plus 2 is 10. 4 times 4 is 16. Plus 1 is 17. In this case, my carries happen to be the same for both rows, so that made life a little easier. Add it up, and I get 19125. There was 1, 2, 3 decimal places in the problem, so I came over 1, 2, 3 decimal places in my problem, and I get negative 19.125. Remember, one negative stays negative. So next one, a little bit bigger. Negative 207.6 times negative 8.92. A negative times a negative is a positive. And now I multiply. For multiplication, it doesn't matter if we line up the decimal points, but a good rule of thumb is put the longer number on top, the shorter number on the bottom, because that means fewer rows of multiplying. 2 times 6 is 12. 2 times 7 is 14, plus 1 is 15. 2 times 0 is 0, plus 1 is 1. 2 times 2 is 4. Start the second row with a 0. 9 times 6 is 54. 9 times 7 is 63, plus 5 is 68. 9 times 0 is 0, plus 6 is 6. 9 times 2 is 18. Third row, started with 2 zeros, so each row gets an extra 0. 8 times 6 is 48. 8 times 7 is 56, plus 4 is 60. 8 times 0 is 0, plus 6 is 6. 8 times 2 is 16. Now you get a lot of numbers, so be careful. 2, 9, 17, 11. Here I'm going to get 15, 8, and 1. So that's a big, long number. Remember, you got to go back to your decimal points. There was 1, 2, 3 decimal places in the problem. So I come over 1, 2, 3 decimal places. And I get a positive 1,851.792. So it's really just decimal multiplication with a short little step of deciding whether it's going to be positive or negative.